Welcome, my 230 subscribers, everyone who's part of the new influx of fans because of that announcement, or if the only Japanese wrestler you know is in the card. See, I took shots at both fans. And to those of you who are okay with shows with matches that are so good on paper but end up with questionable endings, whether intentional or unintentional, welcome to my review of Pro Wrestling Noah, The Return, Pro Wrestling Love Forever 3 Triumph. Okay, so the naming of the shows are very Japanese. Like, even anime is named like this. And I think this is what sets the Wrestle Universe shows apart. They're so oddly named for non-Japanese fans. And I fucking love it. But yeah, as for this show, it begins with the six-man tag team match between Hajime Ohara, Shuji Kondo, and Manabu Soya, so Kongo, versus Shuhei Taniguchi, Alejandro, and Extreme Tiger. So looking at the people involved, it's not hard to see who's gonna win. But as a multi-man match in a Japanese company, this actually wasn't just a payday highlight greatest hits match. They actually had some fun with this. People get tagged more than once and go for some pretty cool spots. Tani and Soya have a funny test of strength at the start. It's funny because it's just so played up and the facial expressions are great, and their encounters in this match is never bad. Extreme Tiger and Ohara have a nice fast-paced exchange during their first tag in, and we get like the usual fake outside dive by Tiger. And then as for the fake junior heavyweight, Shuji Kondo, I mean, this guy doesn't look like a junior, becomes a whipping boy, and Alejandro actually gets off some good offense, gets the upper hand on him, but Shuji gets his heat back at the end and then ends up getting the pin. But I swear, this guy looks like a fucking heavyweight. So yeah, Soya destroys Tiger. Tiger becomes a whipping boy of sorts. He ends up not doing much and is the least captivating of the performers. Soya destroys the shit out of Tiger, but again, my same criticism with him. He does not do enough power stuff that fits his size. Like literally, this is why he's being passed over or like surpassed by dudes like Masaki Kitamiya and especially Yoshiki Inamura. Just add in some stuff. Because you're a big dude, we're not here to see you like wrestle conventionally. We're here to see you throw dudes around. But the strikes are a nice touch. It's just he needs more grapples. Taniguchi actually does some more power stuff. And you know what? This guy's been having like a resurgence away from Funky Express. I would love to have him back in Funky Express just because of the character. And he can be booked strong sometimes. Like, he can be this like wild card of like this comedy faction. Because here he's like not getting pushed up the card, but he is having really good matches. He actually does better than a lot of people from the co-main event later. Yeah, like Taniguchi's pretty underrated right now. I actually enjoy watching him than another match later on in the card by so much. So yeah, Shuhei was the star performer here. He's involved in one of the spots of the match, and it's a headbutt. He was portrayed really strong against a guy like Soya, who's not that high up on the card, but is still perceived as a threat. Dude just needs more personality and to get more wins. Second best performer has to be Alejandro. He's smooth as silk in the ring, even with his pace, he doesn't botch. And he's responsible for two of the top three spots of the match. One is this pin attempt against Kondo, and then this other one is like a tornado neckbreaker. I don't see this often. Ohara, despite flying around the ring, working fast, showing a lot of potential, was ultimately just a whipping boy, as well as Extreme Tiger. So the finish of the match is a running lariat by Shuji Kondo on Alejandro for the win. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, like I said, top 3 spots of the match. Number 3 is the headbutt. Number 2 is the pin attempt. Number 1 is the tornado neckbreaker. So fun opener, actually. Really got me optimistic with the early card of the show. Usually it disappoints First match is usually shit, or like just very run of the mill, but this actually meant something in the end, and they put in some effort. TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard. Okay, so next match is Jack Morris and Dante Leon versus Daiki Inaba and Yohei. So for this one, I was looking forward to because it has a very high potential Jack Morris, an insane high flyer in Dante Leon, an underused speedster who's just a ball of charisma in Yohei. And yeah, those three are the main draws for me. But Daiki Inaba is like a placeholder. He's like Honma in the co-main later, but Honma actually does stuff. And usually Inaba plays the role of game manager or just whipping boy very well. But in this match with three other more impressive dudes, it just shows how unspectacular he is. And he isn't only unimpressive, but he actually botches twice very clearly. So they start the match rough. The opening wrestling is okay, but they botch when Morris goes for like a front leapfrog and Inaba just like forgets to duck. Jack Morris like attempts a leapfrog, but Inaba just collides with him, and it wasn't even hidden well. And it's a simple spot. It might be miscommunication, but Morris isn't like a guest talent. He's been here for a while. So that botch didn't need to happen. And since they're like the pairing for the rest of the match, this affects Morris's performance as well. But thankfully the match does pick up with Dante Leon and Yohei. Dante Leon goes for some crazy shit. Yohei does what he usually does, but he wrestles with the pace. This is how Yohei should be used. High speed exchanges and not slow plodding matches. Team him back with Extreme Tiger and have them go up against Saiki Yoshioka. That's gonna be good. And then as for Dante Leon, he's dressed very poorly as usual. He looks like an amateur guy, but his offense is just so unique. He is like the spottiest of spot monkeys. But it doesn't go as far as Ninja Mack, but Dante does not have the same excuse that Ninja Mack has of being a ninja. Dante Leon looks like a high schooler with how he dresses, who does these spots. But Ninja Mack is a fucking ninja, so it's expected of him. But yeah, despite this disconnect, he does these crazy spots as well as he has this like sort of in-ring charisma as well. He's responsible for 2 of the 3 spots in the match, and it is the front flip cutter and the corkscrew senton. Okay, so let's get to Inaba and Morris again. So they do redeem themselves later on, but it's just like run-of-the-mill, nothing special, and they do botch again. Again, it's a simple spot. It's just Morris launching Inaba out of the ring. You see this all the time. They either go out the ring or Inaba can land on the apron, but Inaba fails to propel himself out the ring, so he bounces off the ropes and to the floor. You know what? Inaba is the lettuce of a sandwich. Very dull, very basic, and he doesn't really contribute much to things. And never has that been more apparent than it is here. If I'll compare him to like a quarterback in the NFL, he's like Andy Dalton, or a Sam Ellinger, or even a Zach Wilson, or Malik Willis this week. Oh my god, and this is made more apparent that he has like a bunch of show stealers around him. And yes, he can be blamed for the botches. What are you doing, man? As a consequence, Jack Morris is unable to shine as he does usually. But yeah, he does an outside dive and it does look really good. He does try to salvage things with his in-ring charisma, but it's just not enough. So the finish is Leon gets the win after he does 2 of the top 3 spots of the match in succession. First is the front flip cutter. That sets up a corkscrew senton for the win. It's unfortunate, but this match could have been good. If he just replaced Inaba with someone else, this would have been so much better. And bros, the dudes who aren't high flyers, like the heavyweights, cause the botches. The juniors were actually mistake-free here. How the fuck does that happen? And with just simple spots. But the three wrestlers that I liked sort of salvaged the match enough. It ended up being pretty fun, and Dante Leon is just a human highlight reel. So I'm gonna give this a TV main event score. With how badly I talked about this, that's pretty high. So after this is another six-man tag team match between Perros del Mal de Japón against Stinger plus a young lion. So it's Eita, Nosawa Rongai, and Super Crazy versus Chris Ridgway, Yoshinari Ogawa, and Yasutaka Yano. This match was pretty fun, but it has a stupid finish that I think holds Eita back. He is the top performer of the match. He is their Saiki Yoshioka. But as a company that values being serious, as well as adherence to tag team rules, they end up burying the ref in this match. With the finish and another earlier spot that I fucking hated. Such terrible fucking booking with how they decide to end it, because it ends in a DQ, but Stinger have a very pinnable guy on their team, and you could have had anyone from Perros go for it. Eita should have gotten the win here. But again, the match itself was very fun. It's unlike the matches that Noah usually does. A fight breaks out before the match even starts, before the entrance is actually complete. Eita and Ogawa fight all the way to the entrance ramp, to the stage, and then they come back later on in the match. This was actually a bit unique for Noah. Yasutaka Yano was the most high-effort guy, like all young lions are. They're so intense, they're so eager to prove themselves, and it's no different here. With the moves and the selling, Yasutaka Yano was fucking awesome. Dude made Super Crazy, who does this spinning elbow drop, look very good. As well as Wrong Guy's limited ass as well. Stinger wrestle in their usual way. A lot of submissions, a lot of plotting. But the selling by Eita was just too good, just like with Yoshioka. But that happens later on. First, Ridgway dominates the shit out of Wrong Guy and almost wins the match until, my boy Eita breaks it up after they come back from their fight. And then he does this awesome leg stomp at the side before he tags out. Forgot if he tagged out, but it was a leg stomp on the side. Innovative stuff. I think we're not seeing him in his full potential here in Noah. He might be better in Dragon Gate, since all he does is charisma his way through matches and heal up a lot. Same with the rest of Perros. I believe Damnation from DDT do more wrestling than they do, for fuck's sake. And usually they're okay with their cheating, but they do this terrible fucking spot. It's the worst spot of the match. And it's when they bury the ref. And yes, my favorite company, AEW, buries the ref as well, but never with a large fucking weapon like a trash can that you can hear when you hit somebody, and it's not even that far away from the ref. So Perros bring in a trash can in the ring. Eita actively uses it, making loud sounds. And then Nosawa and Eita set Ogawa up for this execution style beat down with a trash can, but the ref visibly sees this happening, and then Nogawa points at Ridgway, who's trying to save his friend, but the ref, instead of breaking up this execution, breaking up this clear intention, just use of the trash can, it's inevitable. They look like they're about to use it. Two men are in the ring, but he decides to go after Ridgway, who's breaking no rules. So the match goes on and it gets better. I think this is how the match should have played out, because Eita ends up playing the role of Saiki Yoshioka. He sells the shit out of Stinger submission moves. He bleeds, they take turns on him, but Eita's selling is so good, he makes it so dramatic that when he gets that rope break, I reacted. He also gets ankle locked through the guardrail on the announce table. Great visual. So Stinger have Eita again in like a submission move, but then the trash can is used like just right beside the ref's face that he finally can't ignore it and calls for the DQ. So shit, this is what it takes. It takes a weapon shot right beside your head for you to hear it. They buried the ref, but everyone with Stinger, Yasutaka Yano, as well as Eita performed their asses off, so I'm gonna give this... You know what, I can't give this any higher than a TV undercard, but later up the card. It's like a Rampage match, and it would fit AEW since they bury refs too. Eita is the best performer, and he deserves better, so yeah. Number 2 spot is the ankle lock on the table. Number 1 spot is the rope break after the Ogawa submission. So after this is the Masato Tanaka and Masa Kitamiya versus Dr. Wagner's grandchild and Hideki Suzuki. So this match was a lot better, thankfully. So Dr. Wagner's grandchild has this cheesy pumpkin head mask. It doesn't look good, but it is striking. And he displays all of the shit I like about Dr. Wagner. We get the usual stuff to start, but I appreciate the catch wrestling by Hideki Suzuki, and it bogs down anyone who he goes up against. And here there's no one to like disrupt him, so he's able to just do this all the time. Tanaka manages to fare a bit better, but eventually the wrestler with the highest push makes it to the top again. So yeah, so Suzuki catch wrestlings the shit out of Tanaka. He brings him to the corner, and then Wagner does like these counting chops that he does, and it ends with an eye poke. I fucking love Dr. Wagner's grandchild. So Tanaka doesn't really get control in the match, pretty much ever. It's like he's the underdog, he tries to fight back, but Suzuki hits him with like Gotch style pile drivers. But yeah, he gets the role of an underdog, he plays it well, he sells it like a madman, and when he finally gets a shot, he takes Suzuki out, and it got me and the crowd to pop, which is the intention. And I have to say that Tanaka can still go. And I don't think I've seen Masa Kitamiya like this good. Maybe the last time he was this good was with Michael Elgin. And yeah, that dude's skill in the ring is just missed so much. I think him in that main event scene would yield to bangers. But he had to make stupid choices, like stealing protein powder. Bro, that's worth like $1. Poor quality protein powder, but it's worth like one sachet is worth $1 in 7-Eleven, or like 50 PHP. But yeah, Kitamiya destroys the enemy team, Samoan drop, and then double sentons. This guy has improved so much from the last time I watched him, where he just did basic big guy stuff. But then Wagner cuts it short, he throws Kitamiya outside the ring, and then he goes for an outside dive against everyone else outside. Because it makes sense, like how they do it here, it's kind of smart. Because like 2 of the 3 guys outside are your opponents, the other one is like a crazy old man, and then your teammate is this strongly booked dude, high push, like upper mid card, finalist in the tournament, the N1 tournament. So the dude can hold 2 people in place. He holds Kitamiya and Tanaka in place for Wagner to do a successful dive. In other promotions, they would just like stick together and like not attempt any of this. But here it's a bit smart. And Suzuki like expresses a struggle, so good job. So for the climax of the match, Kitamiya goes for a prison lock, and it's a nice storytelling sort of move, since it's like a figure 4 leg lock, but your opponent is kneeling. So there's a face-to-face that happens. So like the Chad that he is, Wagner flips Kitamiya off. The finish of the match is like an electric chair powerbomb, followed by the Wagner driver for the win. The right person won. This was a fun and well structured match. Everyone performed very well. And my boy, Dr. Wagner's grandchild, got the pin in the end. TV main event, pay per view undercard match, top three spots. So, like, number one is the catch wrestling that leads to the corner chops, the count chops by Wagner. Number two is the sentons and the Samoan drop by Kitamiya. And then number one spot is that outside dive where Suzuki holds their opponents in place. So yeah, best match on the card so far. So after this, we get the shocking announcement of Shinsuke Nakamura versus the Great Muta at like the New Year show. And I've already made my thoughts known about this. I think it might be possibly the best match in the whole retirement tour. It has that potential, but it has like Keiji Muto versus Kaito Kiyomiya to beat, which is like pay-per-view undercard to pay-per-view main event. Kaito is also this anal seller who contributed much to the psychology of that match. So like Muto worked on his leg and then he actually jumped around with one leg and fell down. That was what made the match. And there's this story about Shining Wizards. Kaito ends up winning. And that's probably going to happen with the Shinsuke Nakamura against Great Muta match. And Nakamura can sell well enough. I've seen the match against Gunther and he can still go. And I think Nakamura would like go out of his way to wrestle like his like New Japan self. He's not going to be bogged down with like the WWE style. He's going to go full Puro here. And yeah, he's like mobile. He's more mobile than Tanahashi and Great Bash heel, so that's like a plus. I'm already foreshadowing my thoughts on that match, but just you wait. But yeah, great move by the WWE to get their foot on the door. Hopefully they don't destroy the Japanese promotions with NXT Japan since, as I've said, they're McDonald's. Or like a Panda Express. Or any of those Japanese buffets in America. Or like any Japanese restaurant that's like Americanized in America. It won't be the same as the actual thing. And it's gonna be hell on earth when that happens. It will be a vassal of an American company. It won't end up as its own thing. That's why it's so fucking bad. And that's why, like, hardcore WWE fans, like, not the casuals, the hardcore fans who actually want this shit to happen, who want to invade other fucking wrestling territories, like they did with the UK, and see how they ruined that shit. See how they ruined World of Sport. They ruined Progress. It was about to be its own thing. But they just had to, like, fuck that all up. Progress, fucking Smallman, that cunt sold out. I even bought a shirt. They had amazing shirt designs. But they just had to ruin it. So yeah, let's not get into that even more. I'm just gonna rant a lot when it comes to that topic. So yeah, so let's move on to like the actual main card. To the championship matches. So yeah, next match is Atsushi Kotoge and Saiki Yoshioka versus High 69 / Hiroki. But come on, High 69 is more fun. And Tadasuke. So finally we have a tag team match that is like more of Yoshioka's pace. Actually, it's a match that's more of Yoshioka's pace within the duration that I've been watching. They're allowed to go fast, and we finally get to see what the juniors can do. They are juniors, they should be working fast, and they do here to the delight of the crowd. So the teams work like tag teams, finally, unlike with Stinger, who have really like these tense, methodical matches, but they just get too samey and end up being 1v1s, like two 1v1s in a match. So this is a nice change of pace. Congo do like this reverse fireman's carry. Actually, Congo do this a lot more. Like they do the best combination moves. And of course, Yoshioka is the star of this show, and not only as the stronger member of his team, but also as the best performer of the match. Very fast as well as smooth as silk in the ring. This doesn't mean I still don't want to see him do an American tour for more bangers. Just like Yoshioka versus Mike Bailey, Yoshioka versus AR Fox, Yoshioka versus anybody in AEW with an unrestricted wrestling style. As for my boy Tadasuke, he has all the in-ring charisma in the world, and he also would work well in an American tour. And even commentary says so. The dude knows how to work a crowd and is a hidden gem in this company. His appearance is just very deceiving. And he might look like a Jericho cosplayer, but come on, there's like more there. As for Hiroki, he's not very charismatic, but he has that speed in the ring that like when you need him to, he can deliver. And this is the most I've seen of him like do. This has to be like his best match so far. And believe it or not, he has a very good moveset. His finisher is pretty interesting. It's like a dead weight splash with hands on his sides. And he delivered with the intense facial expressions as well. As for Katoge, Kadoke was so frustrating, like in kayfabe, because like how he plays his role here in the story is that he gets taken out. And so as Kongo are attacking Yoshioka's leg, Katoge is just laid out outside. And that's their whole dynamic of this match. And Kongo's working of Yoshioka's leg is different from how Stinger do it, since it's not like the conventional submission-based stuff that Stinger does, but they heal it up instead. It's a lot of like healing up and leg smashes, or like leg breakers, whatever you want to call them. But you gotta wonder, when the hell is Psyche's leg going to just fall off? Because that's the one part of his body that's pretty much targeted every time. And it puts a limiter again to what he can do. To a lesser extent here, but they just have to leave that leg alone. It's time to tell a different story with Psyche. And when Katoge finally gets inside the ring, he manages to take his opponents out, like both of them, with an average looking offense. He's not a texture cracker or like a lettuce, but he's okay. And then we get some more tag team moves, but I think Kongo does it better. They're a lot more Americanized in just what they attempt, since Katoge and Psyche do basic stuff, while Kongo do this like thing where Hiroki drop kicks an opponent who's like held in a sidewalk slam position. Tadasuke goes in the same direction as the dropkick, but he does like an airplane spin before actually hitting the sidewalk slam. These guys are an awesome team, and I won't be opposed to them holding the belts. So the finish of the match is Katoge gets his knees up to disrupt Hiroki's finisher. Yoshioka takes out Tadasuke, and then they go for like this combination air raid siren buzzsaw kick to Hiroki for the win. So this finisher is what Taya and her teammate, her like fellow champion in Impact do. But here it's better because like it's a harder kick to the head. I mean, it's still not good. It's still a shit finisher, but it's a lot more acceptable. So I don't understand the criticism for this match on Cage Match. I think people have shit taste. Like, I really fucking enjoyed this. This is like TV main event pay-per-view undercard. This was like, you know what? This was the best match in the card so far. People have shit taste. So after the match, they're attacked by the other half of Kongo. So this is Shuji Kondo and Hajime Ohara. But the champs are saved by this mysterious high flyer, a luchador. And it turns out to be How. He has like new hair, a new character. Did he go on excursion? I don't know, but he's like 36. He looked like a young lion before, but a lot less now. But he was so smooth in the ring, and now he just looks the part even more. So it's not been long since he left after that loser leaves the company match. I actually thought he was going to be gone for like a year or something. Have it as long as Master Wato. But it's only been a couple of months and then he challenges Tadasuke to a rematch. And I think Hao's going to win, of course. And there might be a junior heavyweight championship in his future. But yeah, that's going to be a pretty good match. I always liked Hao in the duration of my viewing. And Tadasuke is going to lose, but he's going to look cool doing it. So yeah, again, TV main event, pay-per-view undercard match. Top 3 spots are... First is this spinning toe hold by Tadasuke. Yoshioka sells it like $1,000,000, but again, it's weighing him down. They should stop telling the same story with his leg over and over again. Just have him do his cool shit already. Number 2 is the reverse fireman carry tag team move by Kongo. And then number 1 is the dropkick airplane spin sidewalk slam, also by Kongo. What a great team. So after this is Hayata versus Ninja Mack for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship. So my biggest question coming in was, what pace were they going to wrestle at? Were they going to go for this like Ogawa style, like slow plodding, limb working match like Hayata does a lot? Or were they going to go for this like junior style high speed match? Somewhat spot festy by Ninja Mack, of course, since he's here. He's a fucking ninja. And instead, it was like a nice mix of both. But it leaned on more of the faster side. And Hayata showed us something different. That he's capable of like air shows as well. And of course, we get the slowdowns to Hayata's pace, the rest holds, the chain wrestling, but here Ninja Mack adds his own flavor into it. Since he gets this submission on, it's not really like much of a submission. It's more of like just a hold. He does a flip to get a hold on. Yeah, Ninja Mack does a flip to get Hayata to a different hold. Ninja Mack goes for 2 ninja specials. It's the one where he does like a lot of flips. So one of those happens earlier. It's a ninja special with Hayata in the outside, but Mack doesn't land it. He's like drop kicked in the air, or that's what we're made to believe, since that's what we see on the camera. But it kind of looked like, I don't know, that Hayata missed. It's hard to time those moves since it's so unpredictable, but the cameraman did a good job in hiding if this was a miss or not. And it was sold like a hit, so based on that, I'm gonna assume it's a hit. And if it hit, it's a top spot of the match, no question. And then Ninja Mack does this like bad looking crossface. Someone needs to teach him how to do that properly, like Daisuke Sasaki. But then the number 1 spot of the match happens. It's another ninja special. It happens at about like the 10th to 11th minute mark, where Hayata is on the apron. And so Ninja Mack does his flips, but instead of like an outside dive, it's more of like a sunset flip powerbomb, where he turns, catches Hayata's legs in like a powerbomb position, and then powerbombs him. That's a little bit tilted to the side. And so Hayata's arm lands awkwardly on the floor and ends up like clutching it, and he doesn't let go. So ref checks him out, and then it's ruled as an injury. Match is stopped, and Ninja Mack is the new GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion. And I don't think this was the intention. This is Ninja Mack's first title match, so I assume that he wasn't there to win it. But yeah, tragedy strikes. And yeah, that move was too dangerous, and I would have preferred to have that in the end of the match, but it was still like visually appealing. He did hit the move. It wasn't botched. It's just like the landing was a bit awkward. So Hayata here was a fucking player. He showed versatility. He went outside his like own comfort zone. He went outside the box. But unfortunately, he's out. But I think this is a chance for the junior division to have different pace matches. They can go faster now. Like, we have literally a fucking spot monkey at the top And this can allow for some fucking sick bangers. Or maybe just to like change the pace of the show. Because Noah's matches can get samey, especially like later on. Especially if like the top guys aren't involved. So yeah, like why not add this into that? This can also like main event shows. People react very well to Ninja Mack matches. So yeah, he's not gonna keep it for a long time. I think Harada should take it, or even Yoshioka, or fuck even Tadasuke. How? The list just keeps getting longer. But Ninja Mack, I think, is the hot thing right now and can do wonders for that belt, as well as like the Noah show as a whole. Or like just Noah shows as a whole. You have like an automatic wake up match. So yeah. The match's rating is a bit challenging since I was gonna give it like a higher rating if it had the ending, if it like got to that like climax next gear, but it doesn't end up that way. It ends abruptly, and I'm gonna have to give this, yeah, but it was really good for what it is. So I'm gonna give this TV main event, pay-per-view undercard match. And yeah, it would have scored higher really. It was on pace for pay-per-view undercard only. But yeah, that injury ruined it. But despite that, it's the best match of the night so far. And will end up at like number 3 overall. Okay, so after this is, no question, the worst match in the card. Because it's not even a wrestling match, it's like an MMA rules match. And who the fuck asked for this? They go for an MMA rules match, but Sakuraba runs the ropes, which defeats the purpose. But it does look as legit as they can do it. These are 2 legit shooters, but this match was pretty much nothing. The finish was a Darcy choke by Funaki on Sakuraba. TV undercard match. And I just hate MMA rules matches, especially in like pro wrestling, wherever promotion this happens. Because it just reminds the fans that it's all a work, and that this style of match is more legit than the rest. But I do like how they explain it, how they like say that MMA and pro wrestling are just different because of the rule set. And they don't completely expose it as a work, even if people already know that it is. But yeah, poor match. Funaki could have done something else with someone else. He also could not be the national champion, because I think it's played its course already. I did like his match against Simon Gotch, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Like, I'm not against shoot style matches. The finishes with him choking people out like Gotch, and like the one where he made like the guy who's last Kojima, he made Sakuraba like faint for a while but doesn't finish the match. Those were like very good moments. But having matches like this where like nothing happens, yeah, no, either like work with another person, I don't know, choke out Sakuraba, that would be cool. Work against Fujita, that would be the best, because him and Fujita actually had like a meaningful storytelling encounter in the match against Muto. Like, Fujita dominated the shit out of him, by the way. I hope people reach this part before like just logging off because of like this perceived Funaki hate. But no, I do not hate Funaki. It's just the matches get samey and he needs to work with someone else, preferably Fujita. But of course Fujita's gonna win. But yeah, again, TV undercard. I guess the Darcy choke is okay. Next match. So after this is the match for the GHC Heavyweight Tag Team Championships between champions Satoshi Kojima and Takeshi Sugiura versus the team of Katsuhiko Nakajima, and he is the leader of Congo. He is the most versatile wrestler in the entire company, and it's not even close. He has a questionable hairstyle that only he can rock, and it would look shitty on anyone else. He is the former GHC heavyweight champion. He is Keno. Okay, so Keno continually carries the shit out of Noah. It's him, it's Go, it's Nakajima, and then Kaito Kiyomiya at number 4. But goes out, but he's coming back soon, so that's some good news. But for now, Keno has to do the heavy lifting. So at the start of the match, they go for the usual lockups. It's a lot less catch wrestling-y than previously. Yeah, like it's legit just the usual wrestling. Lockups mixed in with some comedy because Keno tries to stop a pec dance from happening, and he just plays it off so seriously that it's funny. Keno is a godsend. So he stops like this taunt that Kojima does, where he like yells out to the crowd, and then he fucking takes Kojima out and then he mocks him. He does the same taunt. In-ring charisma for days. The dude even like does like a submission on Kojima right in front of Soya, who's part of the Japanese announce team and is his fellow Congo member. This guy just gets it. Subtle, entertaining stuff as well. So when Nakajima gets tagged in, he does this awesome kick where he doesn't have to do a leg slap and then it looks devastating because Kojima's head gets put between like the second and the third turnbuckles, and then Nakajima just goes for a kick. He probably hits one of the turnbuckles. It makes a loud sound and then Kojima sells it. Such a smart move, or you don't have to go for a leg kick and then it still looks cool. So yeah, I mean, more people should do this. More people should like watch Noah and adapt some of their things to polish up their game because these guys know what's up. So after this, after slowing down the match, Sugi gets tagged in, but we get a very like smart spot because Sugi tries to go for Keno, but then Keno gets off of the apron. Sugi sets Nakajima up like on the same side as Keno is, like on the apron. He goes for a running attack, but then he redirects to Keno, finally hitting him. Again, smart spot, 1000 IQ. More people should do something like this. It's not that flashy, it's not very hard to do. It's literally just a common attack. So after this top spot of the match, maybe candidate, it's just a top spot of the match candidate happens when Sugiura does this awesome stalling avalanche brainbuster. And he holds him up for like a pretty decent amount of time before dropping Nakajima. And then we have one of the best features of Noah that happens, because their strike battles, especially at the top of the card and like the top juniors, are like better than all of the American promotions. Like all of them. They're better at striking than everyone else because they make it look so legit and sound legit. And plus they mix it up. They go for like innovative combinations, like what immediately follows by Keno. And man, Satoshi Kojima's career resurgence. I don't think I've heard him chop like this in New Japan. I don't think he put in as much effort as he is now when he was over there. Like for me, this is his new home now, and they should just sign him because dude can still go. He's proved me wrong and is actively more entertaining to watch than some of the top guys in New Japan, like at this point. Those ones who seem to get less and less interested just because of their success. There's like a lack of tag team moves here, though. It feels like 2 1v1s until the latter part where Sugi and Koji miscommunicate. And then there's this one where Keno and Nakajima like sandwich one guy in kicks. Make me at least feel that this is like a tag team match. And about the 19th minute, shit gets real because we get like the bombs. Brainbuster, short arm lariat, and then a western lariat. takes Nakajima out. Kojima goes for the pin, but then Keno has to do his like signature move to break it up. Keno dragon suplexes Sugiura. Sugiura Olympic slams Keno, and then all the men are down. This is the perfect spot for "This is awesome" chant if this was in America. So this match reaches an epic climactic gear that all of the matches fail to do. Like, it doesn't end up as like an epic. Hayata versus Ninja Mack was getting there, but it was cut short because of an injury. So the climax happens with a loud crowd. Nakajima and Kojima have this sick strike exchange that culminates in a Nakajima slap that takes Koji out. It sets Kojima up for a vertical spike. Nakajima hits it to a near fall. It could have been the finish right there, but instead we got like a more exciting near fall. So yeah, as for the finish, Sugi comes in for an Olympic slam, and then Kojima hits the Western Lariat for the win. This has to be pay-per-view undercard only. It was so fun. Teams didn't do the best tag team moves, but just the wrestling itself and the strike battles were very high quality. So my rating for this again is pay-per-view undercard only. It's that good. Top 3 spots. So number 3 is the ankle lock exchange. Number 2 is the pin breakup by Keno with his double foot stomp. And number 1 is the stalling avalanche brainbuster by Sugiura. So great match once again. Match of the night so far. So after this is the semi-main. We have Keiji Muto, Naomichi Marufuji, and Yoshiki Inamura versus the New Japan guys. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Togi Makabe, and Tomoaki Honma. So this is the main draw of the show. It was in the main poster of the show. It's the biggest match of the card. And it's a retirement match of one of the greatest of all time. They actually drew almost twice as many fans to the arena compared to the previous show. It just makes me wonder how many Nakamura or Sting would draw. And it also makes me wonder, what's the baseline gonna be when Muto actually retires? Okay, so the main reason why people are watching this match is because of Muto and Tanahashi. And I was wondering why this wasn't like a singles match. Like, that's what you would want, right? 2 legends facing off 1v1. Because we know Muto is capable. He has bangers with Kaito Kiyomiya. But when the match starts and these guys start to lock up, they start to do their stuff, it becomes evidently clear. So yeah, it's so clear that these two are only there for the spectacle of seeing like 2 legendary Japanese wrestlers. They deliver the basics in the ring, pretty okay enough, but when they start going fast, when the match starts to speed up and we get to the climax, it starts to be evident that Tanahashi is like heading in the same direction that Muta is. Like, he's 45 and Marufuji's 46, but you know what? Marufuji's more mobile. It's just not the same with this dude anymore. And you can see why they made this into a multi-man match. And that's to avoid a stinker. Or like this overly slow, plodding, pretty unathletic match. Like, who you need to put with Muta is someone like Kiyomiya. Or like Shinsuke, who's like getting older, but is still capable of moving like properly. You could just see that Tanahashi is getting sloppy. It's not the same anymore. He doesn't even have the same physique. And yeah, like in a couple of years, he's going to be moving like Makabe and Honma. And then when Muta tries going fast, when they start to get to the climax of the match, the Shining Wizards just like don't look that effective anymore. And Tanahashi selling them doesn't really help. Again, it's not like how Kaito sells them. And ultimately, that's the challenge that Nakamura faces. He himself isn't a spry young man anymore. It's gonna be a challenge to carry this old man into like an epic match, but it's not impossible. But it's just not the same if you're not like young and spry like Kiyomiya. I keep plugging that match because it's just so good. The first retirement match was amazing. Let's just say that. And then I'll rank the Fujita one. It's the second one that I watched. And this has to be third. The best performer here was Yoshiki Inamura. one of the future pillars of the company. It's gonna be built around him someday, and yeah, not hard to see why. He's a great seller for his size, especially with the facial expressions, and dude is just strong. He has a power battle against Makabe, and then he just like suplex squats Honma. Makabe and Honma were alright. Honma gets more shine. The Kokeshi is just like a funny and easier move to like pull off and make look fun. It has a terrible hit rate, but Honma does at least hit some here at key moments of the match. Makabe is, I think, just there to make Inamura look strong. He's an old power dude who himself gets thrown around by the future of the company. And then as for Marufuji, dude gets the pin in the end. He has a very meaningful exchange against Honma, and I think is responsible for, let's see, 2 of the 3 spots of the match. And I'll get to that later. And so yeah, what we see here is a perfect example of just the difference with how they do multi-man matches in New Japan and in Noah. Because in Noah, sometimes they forget it's a tag team match. It ends up being multiple 1v1s, and we get like minimal tag team moves. And I think they can learn something or two from these New Japan guys, because they cut the ring in half, like actively. So there's this part in the match where Marufuji becomes a whipping boy, and then the 3 New Japan guys do quick tags and just keep him on their side of the corner. But we also see something here that I don't like from like some of the New Japan tag team matches. Yes, I'm happy that they do like tag team moves or just like they cooperate with each other, but I think they have to ramp up for the good ones, because like to start, this shit happens and it just looks like 3 old dudes lazily just stepping on somebody. But it does ramp up and look better. Scoop slam and then rolling senton. Most fun part of the match is Honma trying to hit Marufuji with the Kokeshi. And also this one where Marufuji just like bounces around to escape. Nice comedy. So the finish is a Shining Wizard to Honma, followed by a Shiranui by Marufuji for the win, 1-2-3. So yeah, the match was okay. It's like TV undercard, pay-per-view undercard. The Tanahashi versus Muto encounter is much better on paper. I don't think Tana can carry just like anybody into a great match anymore. He's getting to that point where he needs like a capable dance partner. And I've seen Nakamura, so he's a lot more mobile than this, so I think he can. It's possible. But it won't be like the match against Kitamiya. That shit was just built different. But like in another matter, the match with Sting, we still don't know who's involved in that. It's rumored to be Darby. But the opponents, I think it should be young guys. It should be like, it would be insane if it's like Keno, Nakajima, and fucking Soya. Yeah, that should be it. Like just seeing Darby Allin with those dudes. The shit they can do together. And just seeing Sting no-sell Soya. And that might finally get him to do some power moves. And yeah, at this point of his career, I think Muto should be paired up against just younger dudes who can carry him to great matches. Who are mobile enough to just like get the drama out of the match. So yeah, looking forward to see either one. The Shinsuke one's probably gonna be the better match, but who knows? It just depends on Sting and Muto's opponents. So yeah, top 3 spots are, let's see, the diving rolling senton by Tanahashi at number 3. The finish with the Shining Wizard followed by the Shiranui by Naomichi Marufuji. And the number 1 is the squat vertical suplex by Inamura. And then if there's like a 4th place, it's Marufuji escaping the Kokeshi. Changed my mind mid-video, so yeah. A good match, but it's better on paper. So finally, for the main event, we have Kaito Kiyomiya versus Kazuyuki Fujita for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. Okay, so of course, I was looking forward to this one. Fujita impressed me with his last few matches that I watched. The one where he teamed with Go, and the one where he teamed with Muda. And he has a lot more personality now. He has better gear. The colorful gear is really nice. And finally, like a doublet. If anyone should wear a doublet, if it like suits anybody 100%, it's this guy. And I was interested in the route that they were gonna go. if they were going to continue this thing where the champion would have zero defenses successfully. I predicted that Fujita was going to win since it was rumored that he was promised a long title run, and maybe that streak of no successful defenses would end with him. I also didn't like Kitamiya for beating up my boy Keno, who is top wrestler in Japan right now and also had match of the night. But yeah, looks like they're finally going in on Kitamiya. So they wrestle a slow match. Like, it gets pretty plotty during the start, after the obligatory catch wrestling opening. But they managed to tell a good story about Kazuyuki Fujita being this like big raid boss motherfucker. Because he had Kaito, like, for the whole match. And this is how you build a monster, like, effectively, and not just have him squash people. Have him be resistant to like a lot of offense. Have him be like a tank, a super mutant or something. The dude who can make Masakatsu Funaki look like a child in a match is Kazuyuki Fujita. And about those obligatory catch wrestling starts, I'm okay with them if like they play into the match itself. If it's like a Hideki Suzuki. But if you do a lot of it at the start, like we're in this match, you're clearly smaller than Fujita. It's a bit dumb to attempt. Or it's like just there to be there, and they're just doing it without purpose. But here it did have it. It did have that purpose. And that was to display Kazuyuki Fujita's fucking dominance over this like young dude. He's heavier, he's more experienced, and he's the more like legit wrestler. He's actually built more threatening than Minoru Suzuki if you think about it. Like, Fujita's the real like monster. And it's only with him, with Funaki, with Suzuki, with ZSJ, that this whole thing like 100% fits. But I think Kaito shouldn't be the one to initiate this because like, how the fuck do you win against that guy, man? But yeah, back to the match. After 6 minutes of pretty much Fujita with the upper hand, we got about 10 minutes of just plain Fujita dominance. So Fujita dominates him inside and outside the ring. They go for like this attacking the family jewel spot that's a bit undersold. I think it should have been more comical or something. Have it debilitate Kaito even more. But I like the submissions that Fujita does after. So first, it's just like a single leg grab. It's static, but Kaito sells it well. And then we get this prison lock that's actually like dynamic. Fujita turns it into other submissions like a figure four leg lock, and they can also have like an interaction while he has the prison lock on. Eventually, Kaito gets some offense off, but Fujita just shakes him off. Like, he even kicks out at less than 2 seconds, like about less than 1.9. And dude just smiles. This is again how you build a monster without having him squash anybody. It's like he's just toying with the guy. He's toying with the champion. And then we get a nice spot with like a running knee that gets caught, and then Fujita just throws him to the ground. We get a diving attack where Kitamiya is caught and then it's chokeslammed. Like, it looks like nothing works. And Fujita doesn't sell the best, probably because he's like immobile. He's getting up there in age. And then the move that finally dents his armor has to be like a fucking swanton bomb to Fujita, who's on the outside standing. So Kitamiya gets like just some simple offense off. I expected more. I mean, he should have went for more. I mean, it's like a championship match. The offense he does is like not even as good as the one he did with Keno, but I mean, that might be because Fujita's old, but at least try. But yeah, I honestly thought Fujita was gonna win since, like, just after simple offense, Fujita just takes back control, and then it looks like the dude has 75% HP while Kaito's like going 25 below. Like, it looks like he was gonna like just get finished. So I really liked the ending that they were going for. I mean, the only way Kaito was gonna win was through flash pin, since nothing he did like seemed to work consistently. Like, with the story of the match, this made sense, but the execution let it down because Fujita just like slaps Kaito around. He plays with him. He goes for a running attack, and then Kaito counters with a Frankensteiner that doesn't even like look like it's fully committed. It doesn't have full contact. In this picture, his right foot touches Fujita's like neck and shoulder, all right, but the left leg is nowhere near where it should be. And Fujita did the bump all right, but I mean, it wasn't the best Frankensteiner or Hurricanrana. So Kaito hits Fujita with the Frankensteiner and then goes for the pin and then wins. After all of that, that's it? I mean, I was expecting like a roll-up, a schoolboy, maybe like just a flash pin, if you know what that is. Like quick hit of a finisher, sneak pin, the seatbelt move is kind of like that. But the Frankensteiner that happens here isn't even that convincing. It's like when Toni Storm did her DDT on Penelope Ford. I mean, it just looks unimpactful. It doesn't look like it should finish a dude like Fujita. What would have been cooler is if like Kaito went for like a finisher and then Fujita's just like too big to kick out. If like they used his size against him. But what actually happened just looked awkward and poorly done, and it affects the final score of the match. Or if they really wanted the Frankensteiner to happen, it could have been just like a Frankensteiner transition to a pin, like right away. That would have made more sense since it's like a more secure pin than just like stepping over somebody. Like even if Fujita kicked out at 3, it would have been fine. It would have been a flash pin, but I mean Fujita was taken out with a Frankensteiner that didn't even fully connect with like just a simple pin. And that makes him look pretty weak and defeats what you're trying to do. It should have been like a Shining Wizard or like anything else, like literally any other finisher. So I'm gonna have to again dock this some points. So my rating is gonna be TV main event, pay-per-view undercard match. The 20 minutes of downtime was not paid off with like an awesome ending it deserves. That we could have just gotten if they just added a couple of minutes maybe, or if they just did another less complicated finisher. It literally didn't have to be a Frankensteiner. Even a roll-up would have been fine. Or Shining Wizard, secure pin, kick out at 3. So for the top 3 spots of the match, number 3 is the diving attack that's countered into a chokeslam. Although this should be more of an honorary mention, but I mean it's the main event, why not? Number 2 is the prison lock and the encounter that they have. And the number 1 is the swanton to Fujita on the outside. So yeah, this match was okay, it's just the ending. So after this, Hideki Suzuki comes out. It looks like he's gonna challenge Kiyomiya. This is the dude that faced him in the N1 tournament. But instead, Timothy Thatcher comes out, declares that he's undefeated in Noah, and then he challenges Kaito 1v1 in the next show. So yeah, I like Timothy Thatcher, but I didn't watch his NXT stuff. I stopped watching by then. But I do love his work in Noah. He's always one of the standout performers in most of his matches. And you have a younger dude who can sell better, who can also bully Kaito, I think. He does look the part. And yeah, nice, exciting thing to build up for next month. And we know, since this dude has been through NXT, he's capable of bangers. And you have Kaito Kiyomiya there? Holy shit. Sign me up. I think it might surpass the Keno versus Kiyomiya match, but we'll see. I don't know if it'll surpass the main event of Majestic though, because Shozaki versus Kiyomiya is just magic. So yeah, that's the end of the show. These are my match rankings. The show was very consistent this time. Only one match didn't need to be there. If you just have a wrestling match for the national championship, come on. It has one match that's great, but not transcendent, like Higuchi versus Takeshita. It's not like top 10 match of the years or something. But the card was just very consistent. Like, no match in terms of in-ring performance was objectively terrible that was not made up by other people in the match. Inaba desperately tried to get a lower score in my rating, but fucking Dante Leon and Yohei just made it up. As well as Jack Morris. That might have been the one that's closest to objectively bad. Those were some terrible botches. But yeah, that is it for Pro Wrestling Noah. The Return. Pro Wrestling Love Forever number 3. Triumph. Like, comment, and subscribe for engagement. Share if you do not know me. Hit that bell notification for future videos. And please, Watch my shit.